Dad had taught me that it wasn't the shape or the color of your skin that enabled you to develop your God-given potential, he would say. And with education, you could grow up to do a lot of good things. In high school, the school board in our county wanted to fire our principal. And we thought he was wonderful, tough guy. And so they decided that they were going to get rid of him. He'd been there too long. And I thought that was wrong. So I was representing the high school students, and I went over across the street to my neighbor, whose name was Dr. Williamson, and his brother was the senator from our county. They named the school board, he named the elections board. So I asked them to listen to us and talk to us about why they were getting rid of Mr. Penner. And he said no, they wouldn't talk to us. So we're going to strike the school. When Dad died, and when I was 10, he said to me, "Here are my Masonic rings and so forth. If you ever need anything, go see the Masons." So I went to see the Masons and said, "This huge lodge across from our school, it's big enough to hold us as students, and we'll teach physics and math and geometry and the courses, and we'll be there until they say they'll speak with us." And so after a couple of days, we ended up being asked to come and meet with them. And so we went to talk to them, and they said they would consider then what we had to say about Mr. Penner, and they would let us know. And so we went back in the school. Later, they decided he would be able to stay, and he stayed till I graduated from high school. When I got to Chapel Hill, I got very involved in the Y at Chapel Hill with Ann Queen and student government. The university at the time did not recruit black students. And so we were going out at night and recruiting students in high schools, black high schools predominantly, to come to Carolina. And so I remember walking in one day to tell Ann what we'd done, and I looked down and I thought, oh my God. So I walked back outside and said, did I see who I thought I saw? So I went back in and I went, are you Martin Luther King? And it was him. In working with the federal government, the first thing I did, I was pretty young, got involved with the advisory committee of North Carolina to the U.S. Civil Rights Commission. I did recruit Shirley Chisholm to come to Greensboro. She was the first African American to speak at a Democratic event, and I was told, Jane, nobody will come. And so we went out and we worked and we sold it out. And with Jim Hunt, when I went to work for him, we changed many laws involving women, and the one that is the most important for women to learn about is the equitable property distribution law. Until that time, if you were a married woman and you had brought property to that marriage from your own family, you could not get a divorce until there was a settlement. And so women were basically enslaved in a relationship. And so we wanted to change that. At the time, Republican women and Democratic women worked together on equal rights in this state. Jim Hunt, I was with him the whole time he was governor, but in between I was working internationally in my number one love, which was communications technology. My brother, he had a chemistry set. We blew a hole in the floor upstairs in our bedroom. So I got turned on to science really, really early. I also, every month, went to the rolling library that came from UNC. And I thought, well, now we have all of this stuff with books, but it's going to change. I know we have a radio. We just got in television. What will happen to my part of the state? And so I got involved in looking at in North Carolina, how do we spread technology across North Carolina? And we did the first digital highway when I was Secretary of Administration of any state in the country to connect Murphy to Manteo, and to do so in such a way that you paid the same thing if you were in Manteo to send your information to Raleigh as Raleigh would send it over to Durham. When Hunt ran again and said, come back and work for me, I went, yeah, what about if we do a fiber network across North Carolina? We have the digital network. We can really migrate up to fiber. And so from Murphy to Manteo, we did that in a year. And we, in the Cultural Resources Building, had a person as conductor the night that we completed this, and he led a sea chanty from down at Manteo, and he led in the mountains of North Carolina a Cherokee group of kids, and they sang together with the conductor in the library at the Cultural Resources Building. For everybody, you need to step out and make that break to get something like that done. We need all of us to make the world a better place.